In a justly ordered universe, where loss of equipoise would mean total destruction, individual responsibility must be absolute. A man's weakness and strength, purity and impurity, are his own, and not another man's. They are brought about by himself, and not by another. And they can only be altered by himself, never by another. His condition is also his own, and not another man's. His suffering and his happiness are evolved from within. As he thinks, so he is. As he continues to think, so he remains. A strong man cannot help a weaker unless that weaker is willing to be helped. And even then, the weak man must become strong of himself. He must, by his own efforts, develop the strength which he admires in another. None but himself can alter his condition. It has been usual for men to think and to say, "Many men are slaves because one is an oppressor. Let us hate the oppressor." Now, however, there is amongst an increasing few a tendency to reverse this judgment and to say, "One man is an oppressor because many are slaves. Let us despise the slaves." The truth is that oppressor and slave are cooperators in ignorance, and while seeming to afflict each other, are in reality afflicting themselves. A perfect knowledge perceives the action of law in the weakness of the oppressed and the misapplied power of the oppressor. A perfect love, seeing the suffering which both states entail, condemns neither. A perfect compassion embraces both oppressor and oppressed. He who has conquered weakness and has put away all selfish thoughts belongs neither to oppressor nor oppressed. He is free. A man can only rise, conquer, and achieve by lifting up his thoughts. He can only remain weak and abject and miserable by refusing to lift up his thoughts.
Okay, that's little James Allen to start this thing off, and we're gonna probably talk a little James Allen because he's relevant in the field of thinking patterns and that stuff. And I want to say hello. How's this relevant? And there we go. And there we go. I wanted to see if it was on correct and my sound was going through. Hello, Joey. How you doing today?
Hey, good. How's it going?
Hey, everything's going great. It's a cool February day in Ohio. I know you know what that's like.
Yeah, get those layers gone.
Yeah, so March is right around the corner. It'll start warming up then, and we'll see it. And maybe that'll make us a little more cheery. So what's going on in your life?
No, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that reading by James Allen. I'm starting to get into his work.
Yeah, James Allen's great to get in. It's like self-motivation. You know, he makes men take account for their own thinking patterns, for their own problems in life, individuality and autonomy and, all those things Mgtow believes in. And we want the world to have individuality and autonomy with us. But we have to correct some thinking patterns before we're not slaves. And like Alan says, I don't submit to that. I don't think like that. I'm not neither master or slave. I'm my own destiny, and that takes a lot of thinking, and that takes correct thinking. And he's kind of really good at that.
Yeah, that's our evolution as a human being is elevating your thoughts. That's what makes us the apex predator. Is that we can think. We have consciousness. We have
consciousness. We think about the things we do. It's very important, and to get them straight and not this bizarro thinking. There's fun things that you can think about, and that's fantasy fiction. And then we take it to another level, and then we take it to that level of ignorance, like flat earthers and a QAnon and those things. Those people believe things that are generally not true and can be easily debunked. And but that starts with the whole fantasy fiction thing, doesn't it? We live in these worlds of fantasy fiction. We get used to thinking like that. It's like, and whatever Claire wants, I need to live her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could be a strong Mgtow, but if you let that simp thinking or PUA thinking, or,
Yeah.
if you let their line of thinking get into your mind, it could really set you up really in a bad way. Like the trad cucks are, a perfect example, because they come across as, righteous and self-righteous and, kind of like, oh, this is the right way. This is how we evolve as a species, and, and it kind of makes sense at first glance, but the more you look into it, that's why we're in the trouble that we're in, is because of trad cuck thinking.
Yeah, because of trad cuck thinking. They want that Disney fairyland princess, which she's never going to be. She's going to do everything. He's going to ruin his body, building his castle for his princess, his one and all. What does Barbarossa call him? His self other, and that all comes crashing down and leaves him vacant at the end of that thinking. And then a lot of guys don't readjust at that point. I was just talking to the friend, the friend I talk about, that's going on his 4th month now with he got the baby mama, now he got her pregnant. And he came over the other day and he was just sitting there like this. And I was like, what's up? And his head was down and he's like, she won't stop yelling now. And he says, I can't take it no more. And I was like, I don't want to be the I told you so guy, but I told you so. This was going to happen. And, once a baby mama, always a baby mama.
Yeah, you can't be that guy, because you have to have empathy, and but the kid, he's in a bad situation. She's always screaming. That's a bad sign. So he has to physically remove himself from that situation, because
he's miserable.
That could lead to a serious fight, or
right, and where
somebody going to jail, because he's going to jail. If he doesn't,
either way,
he's going to jail.
They're going to put him in TradCon jail, or they're going to put him in real jail, or he's going to drive himself nuts and shoot himself. And most men find that out, how miserable that thing is. I mean, hey, they look great at the beginning. They tell you all sorts of things like, I'm the one. Yeah. But it's the thinking process that bothered me in this whole thing, because there were obvious signs of first baby mama. It's like, you were your baby daddy number 3, and you think this is going to work out better for you than it worked out for baby daddy number 2 or 1. And that's some serious thought pattern that was ignored. There was an obvious pattern there that was ignored, and that's where most young men are. And most young men will find that out in their first trip, being baby daddy number 1, and like I did. It's like I ignored all the evidence. I ignored the suffering. And suffering's there to tell us. Alan tells us suffering is there to tell us something. It's there to tell us that this isn't working. But like we see, the trad cucks, they embrace that suffering as I'm doing something right.
Mm-hmm. That they're going to get this reward after they die. God's going to love them more or something, because if there is a
reward.
Yeah.
Look what they gave me for my reward. I live in a vacant universe with 2 pillars that dialectically opposed to each other.
It's hilarious. It's like they just don't pay attention. They don't pay attention to the nature of women, and that's probably the biggest decision you're ever going to make in life. Really, is whether or not you're going to get married. I think that's got to be right up there. I mean, I think it's probably who you're going to spend your life with, or not spend your life with, which is a smart play, of course.
Yeah.
There's probably the biggest decision. I think that's a bigger decision than having, and then second would probably be whether or not you're going to have children. I'd say would be up there, and then third would probably be career or whatever.
And we in Mgtow, we always tell there are other options, aren't there? I mean,
health. Well, yeah, health. Yeah, there are other options. Exactly.
You can live with men and start a business, and anytime 3 or 4 men live in a house together, and that garage is automatically a business, and something's going to come from that thing.
Yeah, I had a cousin too who was, he got a girl pregnant, and he was around 20, and the guy was super talented guy. Like, he could, he had a lot of like great ideas, and he just, and then, but his child turned out to be a good person, which is nice to see, that came out of it. But in a lot of ways, he kind of forfeited his own life because he got tied down to a certain area geographically.
Yeah.
Which he didn't have to do, but he chose to do it for whatever reason. And, yeah, it's unfortunate that he kind of, he's still he's in his mid 40s, but he's still, he can still, do some other things. But when that happens at such a young age, you kind of, it's like a timeline. The timeline changes. You know what I mean? And that kind of goes back to thinking patterns. When you have a certain thought, evolved, because I think Mgtow is the most evolved thought process and evolved, place to be. But if you have a thought pattern that goes against that, most time your timeline is going to be, it's going to go off. It's going to go off. You're going to head down in a direction that's going to be, like you said, more slavery type. Suffering, I guess let's say suffering. You're going to suffer more.
You're going to suffer more, yeah. And suffering is the product of malformed thinking. And, I can't say that enough to the Mgtows. And I don't think a lot of them, they have that light beer, the Mgtow light philosophy where they can tempt fate and get away with it. And they're going to show you that they are. I think that's the high Mgtow turnover.
Yeah. They just, again, it goes back to their thinking. They get, like, they'll see a movie like Jerry Maguire, and that fucking idiot's telling you, "You complete me."
You complete me. Oh God,
remember that? Yeah.
Them cliches that make them. Yeah. And there's a lot of cliche thinking and idioms with being a trad count, isn't there? You ever notice that trad counts will always fall back on an idiom?
Yeah. You complete me is one for sure. Yeah. It's crazy. Like I was talking to my friend today about the church will trap a guy into getting married by telling him that, oh, if you have sex before marriage, you're a bad, naughty person, and you're probably going to go to hell because God doesn't approve of it.
Yes, God doesn't approve. Claire doesn't.
Yeah, and that's a crazy line of thinking. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
Bad thought pattern.
Bad thoughts, and those bad thoughts will get you in trouble. And they're not going to just ruin, it just doesn't ruin your day or your week. These are things that will transcend out into a lot of your life, and a whole lifetime's a bad place to live under bondage, under suffering, and suffering is bondage.
Well, and the church loves it when you suffer because they got you sucked in. They're like reeling you in to their organization.
Yes, give you that instead of suffering, you can suffer for the church, and that'll get you heaven.
Right. Creates all this chaos where in your life where now you're at the point where you need them. Not that you don't need them though. You know what I'm
saying? Another emotional support where you can, go there on Sunday and all your sins from treating people like shit all, week can be forgiven. And that's a product of the way you treat people, generally how you treat people. And that goes back to your thinking process. You get more flies with honey and treat people decent and they'll treat you decent. But I don't see a lot of Christians treating people decent. As soon as they leave that church, it's a dog-eat-dog world.
Yeah.
That's where we go into the dark side of human, nature. It's like never trust anybody. Always assume that somebody wants something from you and those sort of things. And but them are hard things to get by. Some Mgtows and the philosophy in general, it should be easy, but it's not. It's, deconstruction, reconstruction, put things that are right on the table and things that are proven to work. And traditional conservatism, even though it was born of the 19th century, 20th century, it never worked. It was never it was never a proven option for something that was decent. And it's a philosophy, it's a life philosophy that probably 80%, 86, 87% of men will fail at and become more miserable.
Well, and the ones that think they're succeeding from it, they think, oh, what's wrong with the rest of you? You know, you have to be more like a man. More, you're not a good enough slave or whatever, right?
They attach that to their masculinity, and it's
right. That too. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, wow, you think that the traditional conservative suffering is your masculinity? How much that's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that is so wrong.
Very bizarre.
I mean, it takes more than it takes everything from them, their physical health at an early age, and it takes too much.
But we shouldn't just make fun of the trad cucks. They're also the simps and the PUAs that
the beggar.
Their line of thinking is bad too. Yeah, the pussy beggar, the cackling hyenas. They got that attitude that they I gotta get as much many women as I can, right? To kind of see that line of thinking is another bad line of thinking.
Your masculinity.
Yeah, your masculinity is tied into how many women you banged.
Yeah, that's the way they attach. They filter. Now, Barbarossa says they filter their very essence through the female filter.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so that's what masculinity is, huh?
Right.
That's absurd.
Absolutely absurd.
Yeah, we got 5 kinds of there. There's simps, white knights, beggars, cackling hyenas, and white knights. And you can be a trad cuck in between either one of those. So the formal thinking logic is you got the 5 types, and then the formal logic after that is you can add trad cuck to that.
Yeah. No, it's funny. Like, this is kind of like a Friday Night Fight Club, and they never come around. I mean, we kind of gave credit. I gave that one guy, that really crazy trad cuck kid. At least he came in and talked about it. He kind of exposed himself as an idiot, but nobody wants to come in and chat.
Yeah,
what's their position? Like, why? Like, defend it. I want to hear them defend being a simp, a PUA, or a track. I want to see, because where does it lead to?
Yeah, where does it lead to? We can see who is the king over there, and then now he wrote the book. I can't remember the cat's name, a PUA, and now he's married.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about the Neil Strauss, sort of.
Yeah, Neil Strauss. Yeah, married, divorced, paying child support, miserable. Probably haven't heard from him.
yeah, and he'll probably in public he'll tell you that he's doing great, but private, I don't think the guy like that's good.
Yeah,
giving men terrible advice too. On top of that,
giving men terrible advice. God,
I mean, I still feel terrible for trying to lead people to Christianity. I still feel terrible. Like, you know what I mean? When I was a Christian, I was like, leading people into that religion. And, now I look back and think, that was terrible. What a terrible way to think, the stuff that they say in their book. Terrible.
Yeah, I have a lot of remorse about that myself. I was trapped at one time. And, I probably led a few people down a road that they probably didn't want to go down.
Mm-hmm.
There, I'll put up something to make us feel better in the background.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so them are our Simpsons and Mgtow. Oh, I didn't do it. Hey, Mgtows, when you're in Mgtow, all your Simpsons. Let me put the Mgtow sign up there. So
forgiven.
There we go.
No, that's true. And that's definitely a Simpson, right?
Yeah.
But then when I analyze it now, just things that are in that book. Like, I was talking to my buddy about, there's a quote in the Bible, like, our days are numbered. That's like, barbaric thing. Like, one of the most barbaric things ever suggests that this God in the universe has a day where he's going to take you out. It's like, unempowering. Like, what would James Allen think of that quote?
Yeah,
And
I've never really looked at what he was
it's
going
a
to
sick
metaphysically
thing.
about
It's a
that.
very sick thing to kind of suggest to people that your days are numbered.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he'd be more on the page of Russell Brand. Russell Brantham, and
The English comedian guy?
what's that?
Who, the English comedian guy?
No, the philosopher around the same time as
Oh, Bertrand Russell.
Bertrand
Yeah.
Russell. Yeah, I can never
Mhm.
remember that. Yeah, I just bought a book by him too.
Yeah. Well, Christianity, they make him seem like he's a evil piece of crap, 'cause-
Yeah, he was an atheist, and he'll tell you so many words why you shouldn't go down that
right.
trail.
Well, and being an atheist is not. I mean, I believe in a creator or whatever, but multiple creators probably, not just one. I would think there's multiple creators, but just because you're an atheist, it doesn't. Like when you die, it's like does it matter if you believe in God or not? I don't think it does. I don't think it actually matters. I don't think it.
No, I don't think it matters at all. I've been sort of centered around the terrestrial world that we have to live in lately, and staying in the terrestrial world. You know why I say that? First, God was in a forest, and then the first guy seen him. No one else seen him. Then he was like in a desert that was a little farther away, and no one else seen him. Then he was on top of a mountain, and no one else seen him. And then all of a sudden, now then in 60s, 70s, doing the trad cuck years, 50s, he was in space. But when we went to space, they asked the Russian astronaut, "Do you see God?" And he says, "Nope, he's not up here." Now he's at the edge of the universe, so he's a little farther away. We got that moving goalpost. How far does God move his goalpost now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we got the satellite, the big lens satellite up there, and we're looking through the universe now, looking for him. And now it's come obvious that he's not hiding in this universe.
Yeah. I would say there's probably multiple creators. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah. So what it is that
If there is a creator, I mean, who knows, right?
yeah, I like my new philosophy. It's particularly Joe of purpose on a terrestrial plane.
Yeah.
Why am I here? That's what we all ask anyways. What's my purpose? Why am I here? Well, it's the fear. I put away the fear of these things that are after, because I don't know, and I don't know what happened before I was alive. Can you remember before you were alive?
No.
No, it must be about the same, I suppose, and it didn't hurt, I suppose. Uh, so here I am on this terrestrial plane, and and I'm a doer. I do things, and I should take pride in whatever purpose is in my doing. And that gives me solace at the end that, yeah, I did have a purpose here at least. And what was that? Like we talked about last week about things I've done in my life and things you've done in your life. And you can sit back and take, if I wasn't there, this wouldn't happen. And there's a butterfly effect to everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I've affected millions and millions. And I can honestly say in the oil business, when I was working in the oil business, that, those cars were getting around and they were getting their dinners, and because I had done some hard work canning that oil and putting it in boxes, and I mean, running the machines and stuff like that. And when I was, in the farming business making plows, we made millions and millions of plows. And I fed, I can't even imagine how many people I've fed in my life. And it's, and some of those plows are probably still being, they have a lifetime guarantee on them. They're still being used now. Every year when you put a piece of vegetable in your mouth, I probably had something to do with it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, that's purpose. If I wasn't there that one day when everything was going to get screwed, and I wasn't the maintenance millwright at that point, and we were going to fall behind and lose contracts, and people were going to, I made that machine run, and those machines were running because I did it. And well, that was a purpose in life. If I wasn't there, I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah, for sure. Those little things that we talk about,
those little things that you don't even know, your presence in an area might have just saved something that was important in this life. There's got to be some purpose, but let's keep it on a terrestrial plane, because when I look at out in an unfriendly universe that doesn't see me, hear me, or even care if I'm alive, I mean, if I start looking out at that, man, that's an unfriendly place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, again, that goes back to the thinking process, that if you think the world is, we kind of acknowledge that the world's predatory, but at the same time, we have a positive outlook, and we know that we're the apex predator, so we can overcome a predatory world, right? By
overcome that predatory, and everything, you've seen it in your life probably, when you have to determine who's the predator, and what people want from you, and people are trying to trick me and get something from me, and a difficult part of my life when he would talk to me about these things. And he was a salesman too. He was a great salesman, and he would say, trust but verify. Joe, that's your problem.
Well, I'm doing plaster work now, so
plaster.
I'm in the plaster business.
Are you selling plaster?
I'm in the plaster business. In Europe, I'm doing plastering houses. And
any plastering houses in Europe?
Yeah. That's my. But yeah, that's the thing. You have to, as you get older, there should be some type. Because I look back on how I used to think, even like 2-3 years ago, right? And then go back 2 decades, and it's good to do that introspection and kind of what was my thought process then, and what were the decisions I made based on those thoughts, right? And then you kind of compare it, you compare it to where you are now, and then you should always be kind of growing in your in your thinking, right? And if you're not, you're really missing the boat in life, because you should always be growing, and that's why I always say, Mgtow to me is the highest form of thinking, because you're moving away from that, like slavery and suffering and nonsense, right? Codependency. There's so many negative things that you're leaving behind. So, whereas when you're thinking like a synth, then you're setting yourself up for failure, is what you're doing.
Right. And it's better to. And some of us guys, if our backs are against the wall, we are the predator. We are the apex thing. Back me up against the wall, and you want that, Joe? No, let me do my thing. Don't bother my life, and you won't get that backed up against the wall, Joe.
Yeah.
And that's better for everybody, But they will back you up as far as you go. Their wall is movable now, I suppose, and they'll put you back. They'll put you homeless.
Well, that's the thing. Like we say, like people think, oh, it's never going to happen to me. It's never going to happen to me, and you have to. Which I guess that could be a positive thought in itself, right?
Yeah, it'll never happen to me, and there is no backdrop for males in this society, especially a white male. If there is no backdrop, if you end up on the streets homeless, nobody cares.
Yeah.
They'll say there's just world fallacies to protect them against that thought. They'll say something you did, even though it was probably predatory behavior by our capitalist society that put you there, but they will blame that on you. You didn't see that predatory behavior by our capitalist society, or our overburdening tech society, or something like that, or divorce, or that's part of our society. Oh, you didn't see that coming, huh? You deserve everything you get. That's just world fallacy.
Yeah. Like that Christian guy that he said, oh, you must have done something wrong or something.
Yeah, I must have done something wrong to deserve it, because that protects them against the thoughts that, man, this is, that could come for you too.
Well, and that's another Christian thought, the saying, you reap what you sow. Well, that's partially right, but there's times when you do all the right things and
Right.
you still get screwed over. Your business partner steals from you, or
Yeah.
so you can't. Life's more complex than that, you know. It really is. You can't just have these little Christian sayings and
the mediums that protect us.
Yeah. Oh, this way is the right way because Christian God says it. Well, that's your belief in that type of God that he's that way. But whatever. I don't want to bash Christians all the time, but their thought patterns are definitely flawed. You know,
No,
and it comes from their Bible, right? Their Bibles where they're always quoting the Bible.
but they influence my life, and I mean,
True.
Yeah. Who was it? A Kant about well, what happens when this overbearing Christian society starts, taking care of themselves a little better than they should, and they're leaving people behind. Based on based on some of their laws. That's what they do now. They'll throw men under the bus and leave them behind. And that might have been the greatest man in the whole world. He might have done something so super for work 30 years at a place nobody wanted to work, and made sure everybody had food their whole lives and didn't have to worry about that. And that truck driver that sits in that truck and makes sure those aisles get what they need. So every day, I always used to say that there's people in this world that think that magic fairies do that. Little brownies, they just dance around and stock the food at night. No, that's magic thing.
Yeah, like the ATM machine. The money comes out of the ATM machine.
The money just comes out of the mail's ATM machine, and it always will. And they'll let you down on them things.
Yeah, she doesn't care about you. That's for sure. Yeah, it's just too bad that men are not willing to do the work to find a better way.
Right. I think the greatest thing is the society in this world right now is going to be the society that decides that someday they're going to support their men equally to the way they support their women, and they do away with. They'll be the greatest society ever, but right now, I don't see it. Even Japan is, they had that work yourself to death, and that was the American thing to do, and it's just throw men under the bus when they get when they don't when they no longer can do that. There's only so many cases in a man's body, but they throw him under the bus and never considered what he did for society, and I don't see it in England. I don't see it in China. I see it less in China. And they supposedly going to be the next, this is the next thing that was going to, save this world from that 10 billion mark we're coming up on. And I think this society that really, really is more like a Mgtow society where we don't wear down our men. We let them prosper, and everybody prospers when a Mgtow prospers.
Yeah. Well, like you said, we're not really represented in the power.
Or even a man. Everybody, we're so altruistic in our deeds. It's part of the Christian thing that they know we're going to do. We're so altruistic in our deeds. They know we're the alphas. We're looking over the whole herd and trying to make sure the whole herd is taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
We can't stand to see that.
Which I don't mind helping, like homeless people and people that are in need, but just don't force me to do it. It's like
right.
Don't put all that pressure on me. Don't put all that pressure on me to do it.
Yeah, when it becomes that duty, that obligation, and you're no longer entrusted with that duty, and somebody else is chipping off a few chips of that, and every time you do something, somebody else is, the government's chipping off some of that, and the businessmen are chipping off some of that, and they don't see what drives this whole thing is the backs of men.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. It put a lot of pressure on men, to.
Yeah, unimaginable pressure sometimes. I was looking for the next new tech today.
The next new what?
The next new tech, the next new thing that was going
Oh
to.
yeah. Well, the next new thing. Well, it depends on what you're talking about, like a gadget type thing. Or?
No, yeah, sort of. I was looking through gadgets, and then I was looking at Elon Musk and the satellite system.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, man, how many men are just really working hard on that thing, trying. And there was a couple of articles, the government automatically like wants to take a chip out of that, and Jeff Bezos was complaining about it, and it's like, no, he put up 129 just last week. He put another 129 satellites in space, and that thing's growing, and pretty soon it's going to be the internet. It's if he keeps doing what he's doing, it's going to be a better internet.
Yeah. I mean, look how YouTube's. It used to be like I remember when it first started getting popular, it was pretty big, and they let it go, and
yeah,
now it's censored more, and it's not. People were making a living on that on YouTube, like but they totally regulated everything. And, regulation's not good because it doesn't help with innovation.
No. In this case, the same people that made YouTube interesting as they went after, they want a one-sided story that fits their narrative, and they went after the Mgtows, and they went after a lot of people that would have equal right to say, even though it's crazy, but it's what made YouTube the interesting place it was. The lizard people thinking. Yes, that as long as you keep it in mind that this stuff isn't real, and I love to listen to the flat earthers, no skiers, and those guys, because it's just I could see there's a philosophical background to it where you're just asking a question about the environment you live in, about the place you live in, and you're trying to deconstruct that, and that's good. But you got to realize that it's not true. You're just giving yourself a deeper question.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people that believe that is true. And I got to wonder about those people.
Like the people that believe in lizard people and stuff?
Oh, yeah, lizard people.
Or the Illuminati, that there's 10 people that control the world. Oh, okay,
yeah, 10 people that control the world.
Sure there are.
Oh, yeah. You know what I think about the Illuminati.
Yeah.
It's right out your front door, and it's not more than 10 people. It's a massive group of religious people that run everything and force people to get married. And
they don't impact me, so I don't really care. I don't believe in that crap.
Yeah. But with James Allen, what James Allen is, you put that away and you become something different. And that's what us Mgtows did. We put that away and we said, we're not going to let you affect us. And that's the greatest thing about Mgtow, because once you separate from that stuff, you no longer. It's one of the questions I ask some of the Mgtow lighters, like, how does that affect me? If I don't bring that into my life, how does that affect me?
Right.
And that's the story of thinking patterns. If I don't bring this into my life, how does this affect me? It doesn't.
Right. I got into it with a couple of guys on these stock forums, because now you got all these yahoos on Reddit and all these things. They're just a bunch of retards and So I just started listening to some of reading some of their posts, and it took me about 3 days to realize these guys are a bunch of knuckleheads, they're just a bunch of knuckleheads making all these claims and showing screenshots where they can easily manipulate the information, right? They can manipulate the screenshot, and I'm not a sucker. I'm not going to fall for your stupid comments or so. I deleted my account, and I'm not going to get into a banter with these people.
You know what's sad about it is some of these young men and even older men, I guess. I mean, what they really did is they have fixed on one personality, or they read a book by one person that has some bizarre thoughts, and then that became every thought they had.
Right.
That was the first book they actually ever was interested in.
Yeah. It's too bad. They fall for it. They believe everything they hear, everything. You just the first, like you said, like remember you talked about how pessimism can be a good thing, and the first thing you should do when someone makes a claim or whatever is don't believe it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't believe what word they're saying, and do your own research and verify things.
Yeah, trust but verify. And
yeah, because they have an agenda. A lot of times they have an agenda, and then they'll shame you. Like some guy was calling me silly. Like I told, there was a stock that went down. I don't know. I made a comment like I know a lot about this company. It's because they were manipulating the stock, and I called it. I said it right. So I called the thing by a lot. It went down by a lot, and I called it, and the guy still called me silly. And I said to him, I said, "You're calling a guy. I gave you some information. Yeah, I had inside information on this company, okay, and I told you about it, and it happened. I was correct, and you're calling me silly." Well, I said, stop and logically think about that. You know what I mean? Right, you're calling me silly for that. Sure, okay. And I just got fed up with the guy. I'm like, I just made that comment, and I just muted him.
Yeah, that's when their personality traits start showing up, and that's what I saw. They conservatively balk, even though you've shown them that this is going to happen in these situations. They're going to conservatively balk back to their original thinking. It's convenient conservatism, and a lot of people do that. They don't want to hear some new. They're not open and honest. They're not conscious of others and stuff, and they'll balk on things like that. It's like. And it's more of an ego thing. It's a negative ego, and
those are people I stay away from, Joe. Those are people. They're red flagged, and I delete them. Like I'm done. I just can't.
Right. Yeah, if they ever have to confront that, and they would do better in life.
Well, it's like people that try to tell me about I'll just use plaster walls for that's not what I really do, but. I've been doing plaster walls for 20 years, and then a guy comes in, he's got 1 year of experience, and he's going to tell me how to
do that.
Yeah. It's like, where's your credibility? Where's your resume? Where's your advanced degree in business? Where, you know what I'm saying? I took these business classes, and they're talking about these theories that are amazing. We're talking about, there's, 5 forces. This is something you might want to look up. It's pretty good. Like the 5 forces is called. And it's really in-depth business analysis on how to analyze an industry.
Yeah.
And this guy, his name is Porter, and he's just a real, he's a Harvard guy. It's like he changed business. Like, you know what I mean? He changed how business is done across industries, right? So
useful tools.
Yeah, those are that's useful information. And it's like, so you have someone that comes in and they have their theories and stuff, and who am I going to listen to? It's like I'm going to listen to the guy that went to Harvard and did all the research.
Yeah.
I'm not going to listen to some knucklehead that comes in. He's got 1 year of experience.
Yeah, I was doing that the little while ago, and I was trying to explain hoteling's model to somebody, and he was like, "No, that's not true." I was like, "No, it's like, look out there."
Yeah. So it goes back. I remember I was telling you about the source. It goes back to the source where you get your information. That's why, for me, my breakthroughs in Mgtow came through listening to you. You know what I'm saying? Like that was where, and I have to give Shining credit to him.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to him, like if he went trad cuck or not, but and then Warhorse I think would be another mentor, kind of like an internet mentor, I guess you would call him, but because I respect him a lot because he's living it. He's living it. You know what I'm saying? He acknowledges that he was, in this trad, when he was married, and now he broke away, and now he's doing his thing, and he's like a good role model. And but the source was so good with listening to you because all the stuff you went through. I believed you. I believed you that you went through all that stuff, and that's kind of, so, as opposed to listening to like a 20-something-year-old guy like Gemma, who's, got no life experience and, walks around like he knows what he's talking about, and he doesn't want to, acknowledge the fact that he doesn't really have the experience. He hasn't really been through it.
He has no experience. And what would we say about it? He's just walking around throwing things, against the wall and seeing if they're going to stick. And then if it does, but you often notice that he's going to fail at them things. And it's like, you're going to have to do that. I was wrong about that. And let's try a new thing. And then it's like, let's try a new thing. It's like, why didn't you try the thing you were told to do?
Well, and that's the thing, you have to have respect for people that have been through it and that are educated, like yourself. You're an educated guy. You've been through it. You give good information, and you're legitimately trying to help men. Have a genuine desire to help men, and so you carry a lot of weight. That's why I really got into your videos and your information, because your information is correct. I always tell you, I joke around with you, but like, I don't think I've ever heard you say anything that was like wrong. I mean, I've listened to you probably more than anybody on the internet, like anyone, right? So, and I've listened to a lot of channels, right, over the last 10, 15 years. Anything that was off, I really don't. So, yeah.
I tried to research the product, and the product is Mgtow, and do your research on that too. That's If this is something you want to introduce into your life, at least be a good Mgtow. That's what I always say.
Yeah, because when you start listening to guys that are, Eric's in the chat. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Is Eric in?
Yeah, so
hey Eric,
yeah, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, so I always consider it a source. Like, I don't really like to take in information from people that are younger than me, and I know that younger people have good ideas, and I'm not gonna be a total idiot and not listen to them, but I really don't. I really like people that are older than me, that have more life experience. I can really appreciate them more. I maybe that's wrong, but to me that works, because they've had more at bats at life, right? So to speak, right?
Yeah, we all fail at certain things, but we all carry that knowledge on what actually worked and what actually made me happy in life, and how I got to this Mgtow Zen area where, well, that's pretty good, and that came from really, really bad.
Yeah, because you overcame a lot of stuff, and you're still a positive person. A lot of people, I think, in your situation would have probably either gave up, or would have been a miserable son of a bitch, or would have been a miserable, or an alcoholic, or a miserable son of a bitch,
Yeah. No, there are things that aren't, and them are hard things, that retreat I went on that I talk about a lot had such a great influence on my life. About the photograph, it was a photography class. It's just learning something new, and I didn't want to go. It's like, but it was a psychological philosophy class where he told me after it was on, he sat down, the psychologist, he's a very famous psychologist, so I want to mention him. He says, Joe, you know what, just try when you leave a store, just say thank you. I appreciate you being here, and thanks a lot for doing this for me. And then I started putting that in practice, and then I thought about the beauty of that, and they started working. I mean, it was just a simple little cure in my life where I wasn't such a miserable SOB.
My friend Joe, he always compliments people, like he goes, "You're great." That's what he says all the time. Like, he'll go, like, we're at the diner the other day, and he goes, the waitress and the cook were there, two women, and he goes, "The both of you are great, just great."
Great.
And he had a good conversation with them, and next time we go in there, they're going to remember us.
They're going to remember you. They're going to be nicer to you. I do that.
Right. They're going to give us a little bit of extra meat on the hamburger. They're going to, whatever, right?
it's a little bit warmer, and it didn't sit under that light for a long time. And sometimes you're going to get a bad dinner, and it's not the waitress's fault. And I mean, you want to keep pouring that coffee, and just, hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate you doing this for me. And she's not a slave, and that's the tradcon thinking. The tradcon walks into a restaurant, and he thinks that waitress is a slave to him, and he could yell at her and that's a restaurant to Karen, Karen yelling at everybody in the restaurant, and that's the trad cuck thinking. And it's like, no, man, you treat us, you want to go back, don't you? And all you do is burn your bridges, but that's the way you want to be treated too.
Yeah.
Not everybody thinks that way. I mean,
no, they don't. They're just, it's almost like a lot of people, they just think about survival. They're just like, you know what I mean? Yeah, they're just, oh, I got to pay my bills, which, of course you got to pay your bills, but try to put yourself in a position where money doesn't become a huge factor in your life. And whether it's, downsizing or, maybe cutting back on, what you eat, maybe, you can probably get by on $5 or $10 a day on food. If you're smart, if you can budget, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Most people have never been in a really horrible position in their life where they didn't have nothing and there was nothing to do. You know what I think?
I just want to make a quick point. I just want to make a quick point about that, like the survival thing, because they're not. So that ties into their maybe why they're not as courteous with others, or don't take the time to talk to others, don't take the time to be more of a human being. Is that they're like, oh, I got all these pressure on me. You know what I mean? They're under all this pressure. So
pressure, yeah, it's thinking pressure too, most of the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Up there.
So if you can elevate your thinking and say, well, okay, I have this situation where, my finances or whatever. And so try to elevate your thinking and say, well, maybe I don't need a, 3 or 4 bedroom apartment or house, or maybe I can live in a 1 or 2 bed, whatever. Right. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You downsize, there's a lot of ways you can, maybe upgrade your job, try to get it, you got to try to elevate your thoughts to overcome that stress. Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's horrible situations. You know what I found out when I was living in the van there, and it was cold, and after things kind of brightened up in the spring, and I got a little healthier, and I started walking a little bit, as things weren't that bad, and wherever I was there, and I felt the same way. I feel the same way then as I feel now. And I own my own house and this and everything, and all this stuff doesn't mean nothing. Because on a good day, it was still a good day, and I felt the same way. And that the minimalism of that kind of boom, it's like, man.
Yeah, I like that. I like minimalism. I think it's
the only thing I could do wrong is self-sabotage this up here, so I'm having a bad day. And that's that neurotic thinking where there's something else out there. We used to call it my buddy used to do that. He was never happy because he always missed a pretty girl at the bar. And we used to tell him when he come in, he's like, oh man, you just missed the Budweiser girls were just here and they bought us all beer. Because in his mind, he had just missed something anyways. And that's what he always thought about life. Life was it was this close. And man, if I was just this close, it's like, no, put that away, man. And, come live in the now with the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes the now is pretty good, and I take myself with me, and if I'm a happier, more pleasant person, I'll be having more happier, pleasant days, because that's just who I am now. And but it took that pit of horror to realize that a good day was still a good day, even though I was living in a van.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it would get worse too. There was, they took that van from me too.
Wow.
But I mean, they took everything. So complete. They're so complete.
Yeah. Yeah, no empathy, huh?
No empathy. And I mean, that's the evil forces you have to adjust for. because them evil forces, and and I reacted as soon as I got healthy again. I reacted like Joe. I started taking my place in this world, but but it taught me some lessons about things, and just being a nice guy. I mean, being a super nice guy got me in the library every day where I could read and be warm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there was self-interest in that too. We all have this dark side of our psychology where, I wasn't going to the library and being super nice and helping everybody out. So I just, and then just being just a perfect patron because that's what I do. No, I was doing that because I wanted to be warm.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a good lesson in that,
Sure, because you appreciate things and simple things in life, like just taking a shower in the morning. And people take that for granted, like
Yeah.
hot shower in the morning. I mean, come on, or plumbing, whatever.
Yeah, like for older guys, it's that Saturday shower you have to take once a week.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah, once a week. Yeah, it's easy to take things for granted. Just being able to walk, I couldn't walk for
Yeah,
a week. Yeah, it was like because of my leg. I had the nerve.
Right, you appreciate that after
Yeah, and then also, yeah,
I
I mean,
appreciate those walks in the park now.
I appreciate the fact that they didn't find anything serious too, because I had to do MRI. It was just a minor little strain in my back or whatever, but it wasn't. They could have found something else, right? They could have, and they didn't. So I was thankful for that. So, but yeah, just being able to walk is, there's people that can't walk at all, and so.
Right. Oh yeah, that was horrible. Horrible time after when I ripped both my Achilles tendons. They didn't rip; they peeled down from the calcium from being poisoned. Dead skin, calcium, and I had a lot of dead in my body, and I couldn't walk for 2 years. But man, that first time I walked around the block and got on that bike again, and I was thinking, man, this is great.
Yeah. Yeah. I went to the park today. We just walked the parking lot because the roads, I was just happy to get in the sun, just to see the sun. I had a good day because I was able to interact with the sun.
Yeah, what was that strange ball of light in the sky out there today?
Yeah. Oh, there was something today. I don't know. The reptiles are coming? The reptilians?
No, it's good. It's
the reptilians. Oh my god! They got these channels because it's good. They make money. Right? They make money. They get a following on it.
They get a following. People are lonely and they want to belong somewhere, and we all want to belong. And MGTOWs are no different. MGTOWs just want to belong, and they want to be around guys like themselves.
What cracks me up too are these remote viewers. Ooh, I did some remote viewing.
Yeah.
Shut the hell up. I mean, I don't believe in that crap, and it's not even accurate. Yeah, I believe that they could probably do some funky stuff with their thought processes that get a little crazy, but there's no scientific proof that it's real.
What was the Clooney movie with the goat?
I don't know.
Yeah, that was about remote viewing, and
it was okay. I didn't know that. Yeah, it's just all this nonsense. Like these guys are so full of crap, man. They're just like they try to create this narrative that they're like a guru of some sort, and we see that in MGTOW too, right? With certain people that red pill, blue pill, whatever, and
the super salesman. That's Maslow's triangle, and he's gonna work you up to the what is that tip of that? I can never remember that.
Self-actualization, where you're going to be this being that floats on air someday.
I would be embarrassed to give that kind of philosophy in Mgtow where like
Terrible.
listen to me, and at the end I'll work your way up to that perfect triangle where you're going to
Right.
self-actualize.
Yeah.
I feel
Meanwhile, buy my book and go to my seminars and spread the word so I can make more money.
yes, Patreon, and I can teach you. It's like to be. It's like, no,
Yeah.
that stuff is not. That stuff is just it's all goal oriented. It's like if you learn about goal orientation, all you're doing is giving someone a goal or some goal that they want in their life, and then you're putting them on that fantasy fiction land towards that goal where we have a tendency as humans to make up these idealized spots in our future, which I just need to reach.
Yeah. Yeah, you see it with those Ponzi schemes. At Ponzi schemes, you see it a lot. Like,
Ponzi schemes are built on that, the triangle.
Right.
You're going to reach the pinnacle, and your life's going to be great. No, you're not.
Yeah. Well, they tell you that with the 401k. Like, oh, you just max out your 401k, and when you're 62, you'll have $1.7 million.
Yeah, that's what I was involved with.
Yeah.
Well, I was taken by the Enron scam because I worked for Mobile, and if that's what they told us, boy, you're just gonna have this. You're gonna be. I should be retired right now, and that all evaporated. And I made some pretty good decisions too on my 401k there, and it still seemed to evaporate. I bought into foreign market housing markets, and I bought into the first Borders and Amazon, and I was at 30% of my and that just all disappeared because Enron, because there were they're
just trying to get your money. They're just trying to get your money. It's another scam to get your money, and they don't tell you that. Oh, you can lose. You ever hear of getting downsized? You know ever hear about having a manager that's a real son of a bitch? You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't tell you about those. They don't tell you about those things. They don't. They just think that you're gonna get this, like the same thing they do with college students too. You're gonna get this college education and you're gonna have a great job and and it's gonna be great and that's not the reality of it. The reality is you have people in managerial positions that are not good people. That you're gonna run into.
People, they deserve. They think they deserve more than you, and they steal, and that's what it was. At the end, it ate me up, and it ate everything I had put up in there, and penalties, and these supposed penalties, and what do they call those? Fines, and I had to take. I'm management. These management things. It's like no. It's like it should still be there, and I should be happily retired right now.
Well, that's the first step you want to do, is have liquid cash on hand at all times, for emergencies, But that's true. It's right. They're just trying to take your money. That's all the 401k, all these investment things, and the rich always get richer because they collude and they share information. And
I was looking at this.
I
was looking at this new Patreon thing or whatever. Not Patreon, Reddit thing and everything, and it looks a lot like my 401k looked back in the 80s when I first got it, and 90s, and it all disappeared with Enron. It's like,
Enron. I told you that. Did I tell you that story about that guy with Enron? What was that movie they had about Enron? Do you remember? I'm gonna look it up. I gotta see if I can find it.
I couldn't watch it because it was so difficult on me. It's like
there was a guy that had like over 300,000 in his 401. He ended up cashing out like a couple $100 or something.
That's what I should have had. It should have been growing with my investments, and I made good investments. I chose all my investments. And
the smartest guys in the room. It was 2005.
2005.
See, and how's that for a slap in the face that they name a movie? They call them those guys smart. No, they're crooks. They're smart.
Crooks. Yeah, that guy, he's dead now, but his wife, when she gave $5 million to Trump's in the Trump campaign, and I was thinking she just gave my money away. I worked hard for that money, and how our government let us down after that, and we got nothing back on that, and whatever was got back, the lawyers sucked up, and then it's like you could see the whole filthy process playing out, and I was like so insulted by that. It's like, yeah, that's life, and if I would have known, I would have just took my money down to the bank each week and made my own. I should have just, let the bank take care of my investments.
Mm-hmm. They're all liquid.
And that all led to
you can invest yourself too. You can open up your own account.
Right. Open your own account, invest yourself, and if you got no one to blame but yourself, keep your thinking solid, and and there you go.
Well, that's what they try to tell you too. They try to tell you that you're not smart enough to invest, and that's that's bad thinking too. Like, no, you are smart enough. You can learn it.
That's the old you're not good enough.
Right. It's always you're not good enough. We have the information. Ooh, I'm a guy on Reddit with an anonymous handle, and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about. This one guy's like, buy this stock on this day. We're going to do this, and I'm like, shut the hell up. You don't even know what me. I get a little bit nasty with these guys, but
it just looks to be like it's the next new thing to steal from.
The next new thing. Yeah.
And that's always works out the same way. They just want to take from the little guys, and then, but hey, I wish there was a way where I can, go punish these people for, their thievery, but the government protects them. The government protects the thieves.
Well, the white collar crimes. You notice white collar crimes. You don't really.
There was no jail.
A lot of time. You don't do a lot of time. That's why these blue collar criminals, or whatever you want to call them, street criminals are stupid. What they should do is get into white collar crimes. Because the upside, it's got better potential. Your reward is higher and your risk is low. That's why these guys on the streets are stupid, because they have high risk and I guess, but you really want to if you're gonna be a criminal, just do white collar stuff, because it's better upside.
Tells you a lot about. Ellen covered that too in his book about. We get into the thought process that if you're a good guy, you're going to lose, and all the bad guys, somehow they win, and then that becomes faulty thinking in there. And we can do that thought process, but the truth of the matter is, if I would have just did what I was supposed to do, and the thought was always there to just go down to the bank and invest and put it in my account and invest with the banker lady or whatever. She'll help me through it.
And then you spread it out too. You don't throw it all in one account. You want to spread it out in maybe 5 or 10 accounts.
That would
get a little real estate. Maybe get a little real estate, get a little land. If you have money to invest, it's a good thing. But
and I did at that point. I think I had, as Amazon came around, I was in Borders. We switched to Amazon. I put everything over into Amazon, and I had like $18,000 in Amazon.
Wow!
And it would have been at least 4 or 5 million right now.
Yeah, it'd be worth a lot.
Yeah, but somebody else stole that.
But there's opportunities even now, like this Novavax. I was looking at this stock, Novavax. It was $6.
I'm looking at that.
And I knew about the stock. I don't know if I had bought it, or I might have had some, like a couple hundred shares, like maybe years ago, and didn't do anything. I sold it, but it was $6 early. 52-week low was $6. It's almost $300 now because it's a vaccine company. And I think the thinking is the upside so good because they're going to be a bigger part of our society. I'm never going to take a vaccine. I don't like them, but anyway, like our culture is, vaccines are like a big thing now, right? And it's probably going to be that way for a long time. And
right.
So companies that are doing manufacturing vaccines they're going to have tremendous potential to make a lot of money, because healthcare is actually the number one industry for profitability. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two is tech. Like tech is like 2.
Yeah, you know what my buddy put all his money into? He put all into Plavix. What was the company that made
Oh,
Plavix?
Bristol Myers, I think. I'm not
He
sure.
put everything into it, and he was just so stressed during like the early 2000s. And then finally it came in, and he was like, "Oh God," he had like 1,000 return on that, and it was like, "Oh, you know what?" It was so sad because after Bristol Myers came in and everything, and he died shortly after that. He was a postal worker. he got in a car accident and died. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
sucks.
I was telling my buddy, he's talking about this rich lady. She owns all these apartments, and he says she's a real bitch, And I go, yeah, it's too bad she can't take her money with her. I go, isn't that too bad?
Yeah.
This fucking apartment complex, it's like near my house, and it's like a big, like tons of units. I forget how many, hundreds of units, and it's no vacancy. She has doesn't have one unit open.
You know what she needs? She needs me. I wrote a book about that.
Yeah, and she's owns all this other. She didn't. It wasn't. It was she inherited it, right? Whatever it was.
Yeah,
And,
she inherited, so she has no idea how to maintenance it.
Yeah, she has no clue what she's doing, but she's got money, and yeah, it's too bad she can't take it with her. And that's what people think. They think they can take their money with them. I'm not saying be irresponsible with money you have, but you should want to retire as early as you can. But it's just money's just RP says it's just a form of exchange of services.
That's funny.
Not as big a deal as people make it, right?
That was my thing back in the day. I was the guy to call when you were that guy that inherited like these multiple complexes with 800 to 900 buildings and stuff in it, and come and take care of that problem and get everything running.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was my one and only accomplishment in writing in my life. But it led to a few jobs that I really enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
Like, what was it? Linguistics of maintenance, apartment maintenance and management.
Is that out of print? Or?
Yeah, it's out of print. You'll never find it.
Yeah, but that's a great accomplishment to have a book. Not a lot of people can say that.
Well, I wrote the book so I could have a selling point for myself. That's what I wanted to. It's like when I went and presented my, because there's other people, bidding on those jobs and everything, and I was like, well, here's my book. I'm the guy that you need to talk to, and it's mostly about logistics of, how you're going to run, how you're going to get, you got so many vacant apartments that it's crazy, and I could put people in everyone. It'll take about 6 months, and I can have this place all going again, But there was a lot of details that people miss, and those little details will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
But that was, oh God, years and years ago. One of my short stops in business.
Yeah, business is interesting. Like, it's a lot to consider. There's certain industries that you can kind of do an analysis on it and see if it's worthwhile.
Yeah, that's what you got to specialize in something. At that point in my life, I didn't want to do electronics anymore. I couldn't physically do the millwright maintenance thing, which I love doing, but I couldn't really involve myself besides paperwork and small fix-it jobs and stuff like that. So I said, man, I got to do something. I got to, use my mind, and so that's when I decided I'll just write a small book on that, and then that'll quantify my position when I put in applications. And anybody could do that. That's still a good idea. If you're selling yourself as something, you might as well be the best that something is.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, even like to be a professor at a university, if you can publish a lot of stuff,
yeah,
like you don't have to be the smartest person in the world, but
yeah,
if you're publishing a lot of stuff and you're visible socially and social media, and yeah, you can Yeah, they love that because it's publicity for the university, right? You go, oh, this guy's got this book, or he's published, and
yeah. You know, who taught me how to do that. The guy that wrote the book on. He wrote. I don't know if you probably never read it. It's like it was like water management, and he was the water management guy for where they don't have a lot of water and stuff, and low flow toilets and stuff like that. And he wrote a book on that, but he'd go around from apartment building to apartment building all over the United States, and he would say, I'm this guy, and I'm here to save you a lot of money. And he was sort of a high press. He was that salesman. He's like, I'm going to save you some money.
yeah.
But what's that?
Like a do-it-yourself guy, kind of.
Yeah, he came in and he did exactly what he said he was going to do. He reduced the cost of a lot of things. He had a team come in and they did exactly what they said they were going to do, and then he got paid and left. And while he was there, I talked to him, and it was when I was just getting out of my funk, and I was looking, and I was like, at that point, I was apartment maintenance, and I was like, man, I got to figure something out so I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
And he said, here's what I did.
Yeah.
There's two guys in my life at that point before I bought the company. Right after that, I would lead me to another company. But the other guy it was about that mentorship too. And that's what, we talk about that a lot at Mgtow, that mentorship. Someone here's how you do it. And he showed me, and I was listening finally for once in my life. I was learning. And I was, I had nowhere else to go, and I was listening. And okay. And the next guy come on. He took me under. He didn't have to, but he showed me everything about this other business that I was in, and that kept me for a long, long time. And I thank him for, he didn't have to do that. He kind of took a liking to me and my he was there for me when I needed him. And that's, Mgtow mentors are important, We could all do that, at this late date in my life. I try to do that myself. And, because there's going to be a man that's going to need that. And that's how our society should go. We have good mentors in our society that'll, but that's something that just doesn't happen anymore. And that's important to Mgtow. I think it's an important topic, Mgtow mentorship. And but boys don't have that Mgtow, that mentorship where it's not about the girls, it's not about the bars, it's not about, hookah dancing. And it's about
right.
you succeeding in this business, which I know, and I'm going to show you how.
Yeah, no, I read a book by Bo Schembechler. Remember him?
Bo Schembechler, yeah, the Michigan State guy.
Yeah, Michigan. Yeah, Michigan. He was a Hall of Fame coach, and he said in his book, he said the same thing you said. Find a mentor.
Find a mentor.
That's more important than anything. Is when you're supposed to, find someone that can mentor you. And it's a hard thing to do in Mgtow because I'm not going to get mentored by a married guy, because they're just they're too. I shouldn't call them stupid, but I just don't. We just have So it's hard to find someone who.
Right.
And I think you're kind of my mentor in a lot of ways, and I think that's a positive thing.
A positive thing. You can leave a positive imprint on this world, and that's another purpose-driven thing. It's like once you become that guy in someone's life that you can mentor through a hard time, and then he becomes successful, man. What more about life do you need to know about why you were supposed to be here? There's no more questions. It's your purpose has been fulfilled. Yeah. And that's like gold on the mind. A lot of people go through life worrying about that day of their death. If they're, a lot of the Christians are going to eventually, that's going to be that thought, why was I here? What was this thing about? At least, man, I know what this thing was about. It was about just that. It's about becoming leaving that imprint, your footprint on this world in a positive way.
No doubt. You have to, because you can get a huge advantage because they can teach you things to.
Right. And Mgtow can do that too. You can become a Mgtow mentor for other younger Mgtows. And
Yeah.
some of them, as long as you're not telling them the wrong things, and if you have that positive influence where he goes on and has a happier life, you can say, well, there I go. That was a purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of stuff from you. Like I'm like, oh, this guy's been through a lot, Like you said, like it really hit me when you said that time. Like you came home one day and she was going to a divorce. It's like she's like one day, it's like she wasn't happy. And that was
yeah, that was all right around that time. I was just going to the doctor. The things I was fuzzy. Things were like, and she did it, and it's like I was passing out and going into convulsions, and then it's like one day I come home and it was like a mystery to me. It was a flyby, like why are these two cops standing in my driveway? It's like it's all great until that day where it ends, and I had no fucking clue.
Yeah.
And it was not even legal what they did. It's like removing me from my house. She said, he's aggressive. I'm shaking and 100 and some pounds at that point and sick. It's like I said, are you serious? And they did. I mean, this gynocentric world, they don't give a shit. I was just a disposable male. They're gonna throw me into the gutter and say he'll rot down there. He might smell for a while, but after that, it took a maximum, mental effort to pull myself up. That's the thing about those things. It's like they're great until the end, and then there will be that ending thing.
Yeah. I mean, mentorship's important, and
yeah, well,
you gotta get a Mgtow mentor. That's if you want to, understand Mgtow better. And
right.
That's the thing. It's like you get a mentor that's a simp, and now you're in a bad situation. It's like that's the problem. You choose your mentors wisely.
Yeah,
Find someone that's really got their emotions under control, like in terms of their, they're not a wild person or angry all the time or a big drinker or a drug user. You obviously want to stay away from those types of people. Those are the obvious ones.
Yeah, and even if you should pick this mentor based on your weaknesses, what you revere this person, and it should be something you should revere, and you inspire to be like him, and that's important. That was in the reading before the video. It's like that's important to have a thinking pattern. But a lot of people I see now, the kids are so neurotic, and it's like they're pacing and looking and wondering how to do it, and they're pacing back and forth, and that's what I see in children now, or what I call children, like 20-year-old guys up to 30. It's like I just see them, aimlessly wandering and pacing around. What do I do? What do I do? But there's so much ageism in the air too. They don't want to be told this is the way it is because they don't want some old guy like me, I mean, they reject mentorship, don't they? They self-sabotage.
Yeah. I mean, I was always around people that didn't do drugs, right? That was like my big thing. Like, I'm not going to be around drug users. Like, okay, which is good. I mean, but it wasn't enough. I was still around guys. Yeah, it wasn't enough because, I was around too many. Yeah, I was around too many gamblers, which most of them are losers for the most part. But there's a lot of sharp guys in gambling too. So it could be a positive thing because, they can assess risk and, you can kind of, it helps you think a certain way, which is positive, but for the most part, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
So I was around those guys, which, whatever. I'm done with that.
Another
But
portion of the book. The
yeah,
circumstances, like your circumstances, sometimes are going to be out of your control. As much
yeah,
as and I was anti-drug, and I couldn't keep my ex-wife off of drugs. I couldn't keep my brother off of drugs. I couldn't, keep friends off of drugs. I couldn't, I couldn't do that for them. They had to want that, and them are circumstances. Those people will influence your life, and they'll bring a horror into it and try to hurt you. And as much as you want something, sometimes life circumstances might not answer you correctly, and that's just life. I mean,
yeah,
I wish I could have separated earlier,
yeah. It's just yeah. I mean, when you're young, it's hard to really figure it out, because you see these guys that have a big house or a nice car and they got a beautiful wife, and that'd be a good mentor. But they're a simp. Most times they're a simp, and
oh man, they're working hard for that, and they're torturing themselves to keep that.
right, they're torturing themselves. They're under a lot of stress. Those are guys, and then you wonder why that fucking guy had a heart attack when he was 45 years old. You wonder why. So
I mean, that has a cost. All that,
yeah, I
the
just look for people that are just have wisdom. I think that's the thing, and then it's funny because then I stopped. I stopped hanging out with these gambling guys because I realized they're just a bunch of fucking idiots for the
yeah,
most part. They're just always focused on making money and hustling, and so they're fucking idiots. And that goes for all these guys, even the top gamblers that are really smart guys that but they're still scumbags. To me, they're scumbags. I don't know. I'm not all of them, but 90% of them are.
a lot of
Because I
people.
know one guy, he's like really good guy. He's like probably the number one sports bettor in the world.
Yeah.
He's a genius. He's pretty much a genius and really nice guy and everything. So he's an exception, but
Yeah, there's always exceptions.
but like the thing is, but what was the point I was trying to make? But so then what happened with me was I went the other way and started hanging out with these church people.
Oh,
I figured that was the answer was the Bible and Christianity. You see what I mean? But that was just a flip side, the same coin.
Right. That dielectric, it was the other opposite polar end of it, which was bad too.
Yeah.
You had to modulate in to where you're at.
Yeah.
Now.
So I went from these street guys to these church guys, and the church guys were probably worse because they're super simps. They're really bad. But but one guy was like an engineer for IBM. He was like really, really smart, and but it was just like they're both. So I had to kind of choose that, like Jeff and I talk about the middle path. You kind of
the middle path.
Yeah, it's a good path to go. I like how Mgtow has that little thing where like you have it right there.
Yeah.
And I think a better arrow would be just go straight. Like you're not going right, you're not going left, you're just going straight, and you're trying both sides to get the hell out of my way.
Well, yeah, I use this picture up here is because it denotes that everything in life you're gonna have the crazy on this end. It's like Mgtow too. Like I say, you got the whatchamacallit, the lights over on one end, and then you got the seriously on the other end. I mean, you're gonna have to pick something in between, and that works for you. And everything in life's like that. You're working on this dielectric between two polar ends that are sometimes equally harmful. I mean, if you're running off into the woods and trying to hide, that's probably not going to be good for you. If you're taking it so disingenuously that it's Mgtow light, it's probably not going to help you. Somewhere in the middle is your area, and that's the middle path. And there's a duality to this world.
Yeah.
And that generally works with most things, most kind of, sociology and politics and, morality. And there's a path in there for you. You just got to find it and don't get sucked into the crazies. I mean, that's what I see a lot of people now. They believe in crazy shit because they just want to be, well, like I said, they just want to be on this, this path or this, which looks good to them, but there's extremists on those paths, and you got to watch out for them. And plus, humans have humans are seriously flawed, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they're just that's exactly right. And it's like you have to get to the point where you're able to think. We talk about thinking patterns, but
yeah,
you want to come to your own conclusions on things. That's eventually where you want to be. Like so like you're the mentor now. You're mentoring other people.
Yeah, you come to a
You
rational
have enough life experiences.
and your life that this works. And there's your life too, and some things aren't going to work for everybody, but you put it in place in your life, it works, and you go, yes, I nailed that one, and that's right. That's a good tuck that away for knowledge and experience, and but you can't help, like you said, you can't help people that don't want to be helped. And the simps, they don't want to be helped. They just want to they want you to tell them that that's the right path. And then they'll balk on their process. And, it's sad to watch it. And we've watched it hundreds of times, thousands of times around here. Like Nico just wanted to do what he wanted to do. And there was no pulling him back from that. Somewhere there's little Nico's running around right now, and he's probably miserable. Oh,
I bet you he is. I mean, if you ever listen, I mean, I don't want to make fun of the guy. I mean, but yeah, you're right. There's no way he got that little rock in his head that told him that. I think personally, like listening to him over the years, I try not to listen to him too much. I mean, I know he's a good guy and everything, but he's a simp.
Yeah, he's an okay guy.
He thought he could handle women, right? But that little rock he got in his head that women are not dangerous or whatever, he thought that's going to get him in trouble, and eventually will. And it might not happen now, but it might be like you, where you had, I don't know how long you were married, but like you got, how long were you married for?
16 years.
Yeah, 16 years, right? It might not happen now, but it might happen that 16th year where you walk home and she wants a divorce.
Yeah, just wake up one morning and it's like, what?
Yeah, and you don't see it coming. And my friend Joe, 30, he had a good marriage for over 30 years, and then she then the recession hit in early. I don't even remember the recession in the early 90s, but was there a recession in the early 90s? I don't know if you remember.
Yeah,
about 30 years ago. Yeah, and that he said the recession hit. He went from 15 painters to like 4, and he wasn't making any more money. And then she wanted a divorce.
Right. Yeah.
That was it. 30-something. She threw away 30-something. That tells you a lot about women's character. That over 30 years they were like quote unquote doing good, and
you're not important to them anymore. It's like, wow, that's pretty unbelievable. So I don't think men do that. It's like they can't put those, like, you're not important to me anymore. It's like it takes a maximum effort to make a man hate you. But Nico started, Nico was always, I'm going to put the tip in.
Yeah, put the tip in, and yeah.
I'm just going to put the tip in. That'll be okay. No, that's not.
No.
Because I don't believe you're just going to put the tip in.
No, it's that indestructible. It's foolishness, is what it is. It's just foolishness, and
yeah. Now, how many guys? The latest guy too. He was just going to put the tip in. Oh my.
Yeah. Nico, he's an interesting guy. I wonder if he has too much pride to ever come back and say, "Hey, you guys were right," because we are right. There's no way. I don't see any scenario where he's going to say that we were wrong. Like he won't. He might not admit it, but I don't see a scenario where he's going to like privately think that we were wrong. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Hey, can I take a short break for a second?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'll just put this over here.
Yeah, I'll talk to Eric Wingard in the chat.
Okay, I'll be right back. I've been drinking tea.
Yeah, take your time. That's all right. Yeah, so yeah, we've got to make good decisions. That's what it comes down to. And if you're hanging around scum, you're gonna have a terrible life. So delete the scum is what I say. That's kind of my philosophy, right, Eric? We need to get a link for Eric Windergaard, old school Mgtow in the chat. But yeah, James Allen has a book that has all of his books condensed into one book, and I just ordered it. So As a Man Thinketh is one of his books, and definitely worth. I think it cost me like $18. So yeah, it's 880 pages. So pretty good deal for $18. You get 880 pages of really good. So I think it's absolutely worth it to read a few pages every day. And I was talking about that book, Joe, the James Allen book.
That's a good.
It cost me $18. I got 880 pages, and it's all his books condensed into one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I pretty much when I was a Christian, I was reading the Bible all the time, and so that kind of replaces the Bible as my go-to book now. Yeah.
So good. It's kind of whimsical sometimes because it was the 1920s, and but it's good. It's good read. I can't remember. We talked about James Allen a while ago too, and I can't remember what the subject was on that.
Yeah.
I can't.
But it's amazing how it still holds up, right? His work still holds up.
Yeah, it's tested time, and I thought we were gonna, as in some of the people from that era, you were gonna get a little bit. Oh, you know what I like to when I read my book, it gives me that same feeling when I read my book. What is War? Jefferson's What is War? I get that traditional like Catholic thing going. It's like sometimes they pull that way. You just got to disregard it,
I'm sorry, say that again.
You just have to, the things that you don't like, you're gonna probably notice the era and the trad cuckery. At a certain point, you're gonna notice it, and you're just gonna have to disregard that. But that's with all philosophers too. They're going to go trad cucky at one point.
I mean, you want to believe it that okay. So the way they evolve is trad cuck it and have a family.
Yeah, that was common.
But it doesn't work because of stuff that people are selfish and it's the same thing happened with the mafia, the Italian mafia. It's like they had this Omerta code, which was a good thing. They had the Omerta code and. You had a bunch of guys that bought into it, and we're going to protect each other, and we're going to commit crime and whatever, and but we're not going to really mess around with anyone that's outside of the street. You're mostly just kind of committing crime among other criminals, and you're trying to make opening up or. But the point I'm trying to get to is the thing is like their whole system broke apart because the mafia is nothing now, right? Italian mafia is nothing, so they kind of. They're still around. They still have some businesses, but like the thing is, like they failed to, but they got selfish. They got greedy, right? So
they got greedy, yeah.
Family members, it's kind of so it's like a family, but their whole thing was all about family. But here's the thing: the guy would go to jail for something, and he would rat on somebody, or he goes to jail, and the mafia guys are supposed to take care of their family. Right, but they didn't take care of their family. So they said one thing, and they did another. The point I'm trying to make is they said one thing with their secret, the code of Omerta, whatever it was, but they did another thing. So eventually, it doesn't pay to do it. Right? It's kind of like with marriage. They're saying one thing. You go to a church and you till death do us part, and then but you do another thing. Right? So there's no integrity. There's no integrity. I don't know if I made any sense when I said that. But.
Yeah, that was always one of the things, that integrity with females on that subject is like they get you into that traditional mode. You go to the church, you're pretend standing in front of your God, and then you think back. It's like they get older, and then it's like you stood in front of the God that you believed in and swore that this was never going to happen, and you were going to be that one, and you violated that. That's that the honor code that needs to be violated. I mean, you have, and that thing. It's like that's like wow. It's like it tells you a lot about that, that system. And then that same system that had this honor code where they're standing in front of this awesome God that they have projected in their head is a code of polygamy. And it's like, wow, you guys don't even see that. It's a flyby, isn't it? It's like wow, immoral people. And they're some of the most immoral people.
Yeah. The church is a terrible because there's a bait and switch, right? They bait and switch because they get you into their, it's like a nice place to go because people are friendly. You go to church and it's a nice place to meet and kind of, it's a positive vibe in there. And but at the same time, they're telling you how to think a certain way, and their way is going to be focused on having married and having children, right?
So. Now, James Allen said something interesting about that, make me crack up. He said, except for he says we have the Catholics that believe in this, and then there was this magic God that kept them going, and he did all the magic, and he said, and then come along the Protestants, and they don't have that superpower.
Yeah.
So that's where it goes. You go from that, okay, I betrayed God and all that, and then you become a Protestant, and then okay, we don't have them superpowers. They got their superpowers taken away.
Yeah. It's like you know what it is. It's almost like you leave the Catholic Church and then they have something else for you, right? Oh, here's an alternative. They can't lose you. Yeah, the church doesn't want to lose you. Just go to another church.
Just go to the next best thing, and that'll work your way down into those tent things where you can, those neo Catholic religions that are all over the South, and you can go a long way in
Baptist, and sure,
be justified at every one of your bad behaviors.
But I get it though. People just want a place to go and belong. And
no, I never say for that old lady that goes up to the church at the top of the street here. It's St. Francis or something, and she sits there in the pew and she misses her husband, and then people come and talk to her, and she gets socialized that way, and she's not so crazy, and hey, go with that. I love that. Just it's like keep doing that thing where you're doing that. You see all the people up there that are just screaming out for some kind of social interaction with people. And that's a good thing. Like me and my the fish fries coming up soon, and I know you're going to go to some the Catholic fish fries where they're all sitting around and they got the ladies are cooking the Lake Erie perch, and it's beautiful. It tastes good, and they're all talking. I don't see nothing wrong with that. That's beautiful. I know I'm paying $13 a plate, and it's not that, and most of it's going for their cause and everything, but I'll pay it because and give them a tip because man, that just takes a big burden off my life. Friday night fish fry at the Catholic Church. I don't have to believe what they believe, but I'm a part, and there's a lot of really nice people, and I need that interaction, so I'll go do that, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I'll support them in that way. And but as long as they don't try to tell me any of the crazy stuff.
Well, it's almost like the people that believe in these religions, they're too lazy to think for themselves. That's what it really comes down. I think the basic kind of idea is that they need other people to tell them how to live and how to think, and that's what religions pretty much do, right?
Yeah, it's he said it at the beginning. You can volunteer for the slavery, or you can be the slave. Either one of them's wrong, and until you get to that point where you're your individual, you have that autonomy in your life where you've decided that this is right, and this is how I go. You're not going to be nothing in this life. try to keep your moral characteristics about you, and we do in MGTOW. I think for the most part, there is that libertine section of MGTOW where they argue with the ethics of things, but try to be ethical. Try to be a person above reproach, and be a good person, and that pays off. Like I said, it always pays off, and you can keep a balance on that too, and be a part of your community, and at least enjoy the pluses of a fish fry on a Friday night with.
Oh, I know. It's good. You're right. It's good to be part of the community. And gosh, I remember when I was a Christian, I was like, oh, what's wrong with these people? They don't believe in God. Why don't they go to church?
Yeah, why don't they do that?
It's a crazy way to think, but that's how I thought. I mean, I'm just being honest. I was a trad cuck myself in a lot. Even though I never got married, had children, I thought that a little bit, but I kind of started questioning things, and helped me out.
Yeah, you've raised Italian Catholic just like I was raised Irish Catholic. I know.
Yeah.
I know that one.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of disappointing that it's just not real. And it kind of bothers me that more people don't see it. It's kind of strange that, or maybe they do see it and they just kind of ignore it. I don't know.
Do ignore it because there's some
more
life
convenient to fit in. I don't know. I don't know.
Try to be a good person is there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the hypocrisy of what I see out in the real world where I had to live. It was a pretty cruel place.
Yeah.
And none of those so-called Catholics or Christians, they didn't come to help me. Well, there was one. He put the $20 bill inside the Bible as he passed me the Bible.
Some guy did that? You put a $20 bill and he gave you the Bible?
Yeah, he put a $20 bill in there and he gave it to me, and I haven't eaten in like close to 22 or 23 days.
Wow.
And I was just, man, when I seen that 20, I couldn't get up to there was a Wendy's right around the corner, and I got 2 doubles, juniors, bacon double juniors. And
did you eat them really fast?
I ate them so fast that I remember looking up after I ate them that how I looked to people. I must have looked like an animal.
Yeah. Wow.
They were gone in seconds. I couldn't get to that.
That's the guy that brought me to James Allen. I mean, I think it was you, but it was also this guy, this mob guy. He was saying that the Bible has some, it's pretty much just it's got some decent information. It wasn't totally bashing. It's got some decent information in there that can help you maybe.
Philosophy goes. St. Thomas of Aquinas, great philosopher. Job, the book of Job, you're going to get some real deep existentialism in there, and just look for what you're looking and know how to read it. And you're going to have to take a course, and the great books are the great courses. Get that book on existentialism, and they'll go over Job with you, and then you could see the reality of some of the stuff they're saying, and they're not totally wrong about everything, but it's just. It's went too far. They take it too far. That's the thing. They take it over to that dialectic.
Yeah, and it's not real too, because you just look at the stories in the Bible; they're so crazy. Like I was thinking about Daniel and the lion's den. Yeah. Okay.
Kids stories.
You're going to subdue a lion. I mean, come on.
They're kid stories for you to gather some ethics about what you do.
Yeah. It's all made up stories. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like I couldn't see it when I was younger. I didn't know. You just don't know, But my father didn't want me to read the Bible. He was a smart guy. He kind of knew. He knew it was. He just had a thing where he knew it was a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, most of it is nonsense, and don't take it to. I know it's nonsense, and I know that I'm not going to let a snake bite me because I'm probably going to die, stuff like that. It's just, that's when it goes too far. And that's when we have to call it out. If it's a good allegory, like Mr. Cave says, and it's a good and it teaches me. And there's a lot in Buddhism too, and Hinduism about and even Plato, the allegory of the cave. You can learn from. It's not real. These things don't. There weren't real people living by candlelight in caves, but it gives you a good idea of that kind. You come out and increase your learning, is what Plato was saying. It's like. And Job, he tells you certain things that are very existential, about learning, and but it's how you apply this to your your modernism and your postmodernism is how you're going to get more out of it if you take the full package,
Yeah, because those stories are dangerous. Like they are dangerous. Like you can imagine somebody like, oh, I have so much faith. Oh, I'm gonna go fight this lion.
Yeah, I'm gonna go fight a lion.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in an ocean and let a whale swallow me up, and I can stay in the belly of a whale for 3 days because I have so much faith in God.
Yeah. It's like, no, that's not going to help you with a wild animal.
Yeah, because it happens all the time. These people like follow these Bible stories. I mean, you don't see it a lot, but these people they'll follow like I have so much faith, I'm going to do that, and then they end up dying. Like I'm not trying to laugh at death, but they just don't get it. It's just they're all myths. These stories are myths.
People in the South die every year from snake charming because they think that
right.
Gonna die from that viper bite. It's like, that's stupid. And whoever told them that responsible for they're the murderer. They're the we forgive people because he's allowed to think that way. No, you shouldn't be allowed to think a certain way if it's wrong.
Yeah.
No, that's a lot. It's a lot that goes on in our society now. We're seeing it play out, and in politics and our insurrection. We let people have beliefs that were wrong, and then it came to an insurrection, and we missed that one coming. The Treadcucks missed that coming. Why did they miss that coming? Because
I don't know why did they. Yeah, I don't know why they missed it. I think a lot of it is they just stopped thinking. They just stopped to get to the point. Yeah.
And we think about our government right now, and it's like their thinking patterns are off. They're all Treadcucks. You got to be married to be in the club. You got to be, there's no single, guys that don't think about those things. There's no philosophers, and these people are just a greedy, traditionalists, and they're all conveniently conservative at a certain point where, they're going to take whatever stupid thing comes and use it as long as it's like I say, corruption, as long as their family benefits from it.
Yeah.
That's horrible thinking. And all roads lead to Mgtow.
Yeah. Well, that's why that shouldn't be a right arrow. It should be just a straight arrow because we're just ignoring everybody and just going right up the middle. And that's how I look at it, because I think that arrow is wrong because it's like right. It's more like a trap.
I'm trying not to veer off the sidewalk. I'm trying to stay on the path, and I'm trying to go to right or stay in the middle where I'm going to be safe. And
I think that's the right path. I think the middle is. I think that arrow should be just straight. We're going like, get out of my way. I'm going straight. I got things I want to do, and
I ain't going to the woods.
Yeah. Well, that's good. See, that shows that we're thinking, right? That's evolving your think. Like, to me, that's evolving the thinking. Like, we're not just leaving the plantation here. I mean, yeah, we are leaving the plantation, but we're not just like we still want to be a part of society, right? If you're veering off to the right like that, and like you don't want to isolate yourself and be
isolated.
Yeah, like we talked about socialization, and
simple thought process about thinking about you need human contact. I go out every day. I ride my bike. I go to the park. I enjoy my dinners. I'm not out of the ordinary in my my community, and I don't veer too far where I'm living in a cabin in the woods and sending pipe bombs to people. You know, that's crazy. I mean, there's just keep in the middle of the road and try not to veer off the path and try to do the best thing for yourself. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't have to be ashamed that you're not married and have kids like everybody else. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
bringing
nothing.
a stripper home.
Yeah, that's not. People try to shame you because of that. That's just a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, don't bring strippers into your house and,
Yeah,
and
stripper.
expect to be housewives.
What a crazy place to be. Like, I remember when I used to go when I was in my, late teens, early 20s. I used to go, and you see these guys that are older. I'm like, what the fuck is that guy? And then I realize now, as I've gotten older, like that's the last place I ever want to go is a strip club.
That's you grow up, you mature. We talked about immaturity a few weeks ago, and your maturation process should lead you a point in your life where you don't need all that stuff anymore. And the sooner you get there, you'll look out at the world and make through your new Mgtow eyes, and you'll go, "Man, these people are crazy." And that's where we see it. We've matured out of it.
Exactly, and that's a sign of
it's a social maturity too.
Yeah,
you could read about it in Kant, social maturity, and that'll bring you, center you, and give you a philosophy if you need a philosophy to take the place of the Jesus. And but
well, you see these older guys, they're so respectable, like because they understand that that's the proper way to conduct yourself in public, right? Is be proper and be kind to people, take your time and say thank you and
right. Just man, there's a certain etiquette that we used to talk about this a lot. There's a certain etiquette to be at a Mgtow. We want to present ourselves as rational.
Yeah.
And that's not a lot to call for. That's why I was so mad at the libertine crowd, the dolly doodlers and I can do anything I want and guys. And no, that's not a rational path. You veered from the path a long way.
Yeah.
And look at I always give the example of look at the Black Panthers and the fighting for their equal rights in the 60s. Did they show up like talking about dolly diddling and libertine things? No, they showed up in suit and ties with white shirts on and presented their the way they could.
Malcolm X was probably the greatest.
Malcolm X, he showed
probably
up.
The greatest black man to ever lived in the United States. You go Frederick Douglass. Depends how far back you want to go. He was in modern times. He's the man. He was the man, like by far.
I said, don't talk all that jive shit and present yourself good and be respectable in this society and respect its rules, and then you will be taken to better. And then that's the way we go forward.
Yeah. I wanted to read his autobiography. I hear so many good things about it. I got to get to reading that. Malcolm X.
Malcolm X, yeah. That's I think I have a book, but I just never.
Because he was ahead of MLK. MLK was kind of, I guess he was like kind of bought and paid for kind of guy.
Yeah, but he had some great points. And, we can look at that and learn from them two guys, and we can learn from a lot of different places. You have to be real eclectic around Mgtow, like James Allen. Just take a little James Allen in and take.
That would change your life. You read a few pages of James Allen every day. Forget it. Eventually, your thinking is going to be so strong.
Right.
You're going to be this fierce person that people are just not. That's not the kind of guy I want to mess with. I'm not going to.
Right. Yeah.
Because you get into that thought process where you're. That's what you want to be. You want to be that fierce person in the world that can take on challenges.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's got a lot of Mgtow qualities about it, and you can weave your Mgtow, existentialism into James Allen and see what he's talking about in your Mgtow way, and be unique and be autonomous and be original in your way. No one's taking away your identity. Becomes a good thing. Hoka Walksery.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, Christians have their little guru that rose from the dead, but we have Hoka.
Yeah. If I know a lot of these guys, they still like to believe in that. I would say read St. Thomas of Aquinas, and you can get a better way of thinking about things through that. And
what was his deal?
He was a philosopher. He did the metaphysics of Christianity. I mean, he still believed but he still believed that there's a rational way of thinking about things, and he agreed with Plato on a lot of things. And there's it's just the same thing as Allen says, and just be rational.
Yeah.
There's a pattern to this thing, and learn it. There's nothing wrong with learning. That's what we all strive for in our lives. That's the thing that's going to fulfill you. That's the thing that's going to make you a better person.
Yeah, you got to keep expanding your awareness, and
and test your awareness. You got to be critical about these things too. Test it.
Yeah, and it's not something to get stressed out over. It's just something that you naturally become it's a part of who you are. That you're always, kind of, why are you doing the things that you're doing? What thought process led to you making that decision? And
right, you have to test your whatever you're doing. What do they call those in scientific the philosophy of science? You're going to have to test your theory to make sure it works out to the real world. You do the same thing in philosophy. Test it and see if it works out. And if that, if that works, then add that to your table of or your tool belt, or your table, like I call it, and use it.
Mm-hmm. Footnotes by Claire Rising.
Footnotes by Claire, and all things www.com, all things Claire. That's funny. What is it? 2 hours and 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I think we've gone quite a distance here.
Yeah, I'm surprised that nobody wants to talk about. Nobody wants to play club or anything. That one kid. At least I give that kid credit. I'm surprised nobody. He's obviously got problems, mentally disturbed guy, but the one guest we had. But at least he came on, and at least he had. Now they analyze his thinking. There's a guy that's got some serious things to.
He had some serious things to work through, and rather than arguing with me, could have. I know the way I am too. He probably hates me right now.
We're just trying to help him, because he's really limiting his opportunities in life with that thinking, being angry at other races and and all this kind of stuff. It's like
limit his opportunities by that.
Opportunities for a lot of things, not social interaction, whether it's a work related. That you see what I mean? Like, that's a terrible way to. Boy, want to limit yourself. That's how you do it right there. Become a racist. There you go. That's how you limit yourself.
Yeah, it's like he's just.
Even with women, and even with women, I don't limit myself with women, like in terms of social interactions or business opportunities. I don't get involved with long-term relationships or marriage. I'm not interested in any of that. But
no, I'm not a misogynist.
Exactly. I'm not a misogynist. I want what's best for women, but at the same time, I'm not going to be. It's okay. I have friends that I don't talk to a lot of women, but every now and then I'll get a call from a woman that I used to work with, and we'll just talk business.
That's normal.
And it's like that's normal, and it's like So you have to understand the dynamics of this world. Like you
Right.
limit yourself when you're biased towards certain races or genders or whatever, and it's not a good way to live.
Yourself, is this normal? And then you say, yeah, that's normal. And then, okay,
Yeah.
okay, it's
Even like gay people, like I don't really care if you're gay. I could care less. Like it's like okay, that's a lifestyle you chose. I mean, I think it is kind of different and whatever, and that's something
yeah.
that.
I
But
say,
yeah, but I'm not going to limit myself because like the guy is that way, or I'm going to
yeah,
still have an interaction and
I respect your
be
rules.
kind to that person, and but yeah. So anyway,
The thing is with those things is I don't talk about it and I don't bring it to work and I don't
right,
ask my friends about what they're doing in between the sheets. And when you talk to me, respect that. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to talk about those things. Uh, it's a don't ask, don't tell policy. And then as long as they don't violate it, I don't care what they do.
Well, and that's what Christianity did to me. Christianity really limited my life because I got this idea that people that weren't Christians were
Yeah.
not they were like inferior or whatever. That's a terrible way to think about your fellow human.
Especially in this world where you're going to be relying on so many different kinds of people and everything that.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to limiting yourself. You're limiting yourself. You're pretty much self-sabotaging yourself. What you're doing. Yeah. Because they can teach you. You might get someone who's has a great idea that can really help you, but no, because they're a certain race or gender or whatever, you're gonna ignore them. Because it's stupid because that they might help you.
That's the same Mgtow rules. Be nice. Look at the positives of what I can get out of this and be nice. And you want people to react to you in a positive way. And that's going to take a little, not being such an awful person. And if you want to limit any opportunity with someone, be an awful person. Just be a dick. And they don't want you back around. Yeah, I'm getting about to the end of this right now. And I think I'm going to shut it down here. Got anything you want to share, Claire? I think we lost Joey for a second. So.
Are you there, Joe?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Are we live?
Yeah, I can hear you. You lost for a second.
No, I was just saying, be a thinker, be someone who, and check out James Allen. I would definitely check out James Allen because I think it's going to help you elevate your life.
You can read the original book in 48 minutes.
Yeah, it's totally worth it, and it'll set you down a path that's going to be positive. And I would also say try to find a Mgtow mentor.
Yeah,
the direction you want to go, because finding a mentor that's a simp is going to lead you down a bad path. So that's all I want to say. Thanks for having me on, Joe. Appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, with that, I want to thank each and every person that comes around here and explores the Mgtow lifestyle and everything. We got a lot of good things to say, and we do good in our society and everything. But for me, I'm glad I have Mgtow. I'm glad people think like me. And each and every one of these guys, I want to say thanks for coming around. And most of all, thanks for being Mgtow.